This is a trade recap for Monday, March 9th, 2026. Number 28 of 30 for one and done. Our little exercise here to see how consistent we can be and to really drive home the point that discipline and consistency are probably the two most important things when it comes to day trading. And the person we have to thank for kind of impressing upon us that fact and putting together this exercise is, as you've known from any of my other videos, Pat Mitchell over at Trick Trades. So if you are a new or struggling day trader and you are looking for a high level coach and mentor, I highly recommend you check him out. You could pop over to his website right here at tricktrades.com and look it over and read about him. He's been trading the markets for over a decade now with, again, the greatest level of consistency I've seen out of anyone that I've ever seen trading for any length of time. And he gives the knowledge and experience required to really move the needle on this on a daily basis. He does it live on screen share. But with that being said, I will say this: it is an education service, not an alert service. If you're expecting to come in here and just shadow trades and not do the work and put in the effort that's required, you are mistaken. Understand what this is and what it isn't. This is where you come to learn how to do this professionally. Now, continuing on, if you want more information about the service, like I said, you can check out the website. You can also jump over to Pat's YouTube page. He has over 1,700 videos posted up there at this point. Massive wealth of information. It will be hard for you to crawl through it and figure it all out on your own. Or, I mean, as he says, you can just come and join the service and take the shorter path. Up to you. I highly recommend you check it out. And with that being said, let's get into this morning's trades. All right. So over the weekend, there was that whole situation with, again, the Iran conflict continuing on. And one of the results of that was, again, oil spiking and stocks dropping. So we had a pretty decent gap down overnight. So again, just catalyst is what we'll call it. Not you don't need to be super specific about it. And again, we set up our trades around that. And by we, I do mean Pat. So just to kind of give you guys the lay of the land, uh, as you see on this chart or on the screen, you can see a few sets of charts. Here on the left is the daily chart. These are daily candles. Here in the middle, 1 minute chart, 1 minute candles. And then I have my order execution here on the right. These blue levels you see here are the levels that Pat chooses for our trade plan. And he chooses them, starts the night before, and then really refines them the morning of, just in case we do anything wet and wild, which we will sometimes do. So once we got all these plotted out, he went through the trade plan, exactly how to execute these levels. I like to throw my risk levels on here just to have that visual cue of where I am risking. And then we, again, prepare ourselves for that morning trading session. Get our orders ready and all that stuff. So here is a live replay about 30 seconds before the open. So we can just kind of go into it. Again, we were looking at both SPY and Qs, and with where things were opening up, looked like SPY or Qs, again, are potentially going to trigger the short level. But the question is, will one do it first? How big of a difference would there be? And that's the main thing I was watching for, because if one still has like room to move up while one is testing, you can get some, again, additional movement, to put it that way. So here's the open. I'm just kind of waiting. Kind of pops up there, getting close. That happened a little bit faster than I was expecting, so it did catch me slightly off guard there. So just waiting to see how it interacts at that level. Yes, you can see SPY still has some room to come up. So I'm trying to be patient there. I'm kind of watching SPY, and I kind of fired that off. Not at the best time, so it wasn't the cleanest entry on my part. SPY still has room to come up, but it's playing with that pre-market range. So again, it might reject there or it might push higher. Qs is now holding up high. So just watching, waiting. All right, now we're kind of popping through that level. Still waiting to see if we get that first reaction off the push. SPY's moving up a little past that range. See if it comes into its level and rejects. Coming into risk, so I'm going to average here. Now, because of the volatility or the gap down, the price of premium, again, can do some wonky things. So it's one of the things you do have to watch out for. So saw that kind of pierce through the risk level and then rejected. So it's something like, okay, there's selling pressure there. So it's one thing where you just kind of wait, watch, and see how it goes. You need confirmation above the risk level to actually stop out. SPY, as you can see, it still has a little ways to go up into that level. So it's very possible that Qs does move higher. So I sold the first one there just to pull some size out because it seems like it's not giving a whole lot of follow through, just to remove a little bit of size. So again, at that point in time, yeah, red. And then we'll accelerate this just a little bit so you can kind of see the price action. And Qs just kind of messes around at that level while SPY is trying to really figure out what it wants to do. And then ultimately, it really, again, starts to follow through, starts moving down. That's the reaction we're, again, more or less looking for. And seeing how it's interacting there. Because it is coming down to that pre-market range on Qs, but SPY is moving a little bit lower past its pre-market ranges. So it's one of those things I'm trying to hold on to see if I get us a bit more follow through there, because it seems like SPY is really the one leading the market right now. Sometimes it'll switch back and forth, but that was my read on it. So I'm really watching. Well, I'm in Qs. I'm actually watching SPY a little bit closer. Just had to manage another trade. That's a swing trade, so disregard that. And then just watching and waiting, because it seems like SPY wants to fall apart here. So that's one of those things where, yep, we'll see again. Sometimes all you gotta do is, again, patience is key. It's like, has it stopped you out? Hasn't quite hit a target. Was there an opportunity to sell there? Yes, there was. But the way I was reading it is one of those things where I was expecting a bit more follow through. Comes back up, bumps into the level, but you notice on SPY really isn't moving up. So it's one of those things where it's like, kind of want to call BS there. Could be completely wrong. And that's the other thing. It's like sometimes these trades don't work. Sometimes you analyze these things and that's not what actually happens, or what you were seeing was not the most accurate. So still holding on to that one. Wasn't going to average back in just in case. So again, I'm managing risk through your size. Not getting nervous, not getting emotional, just waiting to see what happens. And there she goes. Starting to get that breakdown. See if we're going to get that one more kind of volatile pop down to kind of confirm that low. because we're right there at that pre-market range on Qs, but SPY is now testing a little bit of its ranging areas pre-market. Nice volatile push, and boom, out and done. And that's more or less how that went for the one trade. So just to give you guys a little bit more, here's the charts. So again, like I said, paid on that, push down, pop back up on the next candle, then just continue to sell, kind of pop back up, continue to sell, continue to sell, came down to this trend line right here, and then ultimately respected that, came back up, then came back down. So it's one of those things where there's a lot of decent amount of range in the market and plenty of opportunities to make money. Honestly, it's one of those things where you just have to be respectful of size, your risk, your levels, your trade plan, the strategy, what you've been taught, especially if you're being coached, be mindful of everything that you've been taught. Again, put it into practice. Every day is another repetition on putting things into practice, which is ultimately what ingrains it in us. And again, it's one of those things, instead of having to actively think about it, it's far more reflexive. So, as you can see, one and done. That was the first trade to trigger, only trade that was taken on the day trade side. And yeah, worked out good. Like I said, this was 28 of 30. So we got a couple more days before kind of this first phase of one and done is finished. And if you're interested in learning how to do this from a spectacular coach and mentor who really knows their stuff, again, Pat Mitchell at tricktrades.com. Check out the service. If you want more information on the SizeUp program that most of us are a part of, you can find a link to the webinar down in the description below, along with a link to the memberships over at Trick Trades. Gets you a little bit of a discount for your first month. Check out the service, see if it fits with what you're trying to accomplish. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you there in the surface. And other than that, have a wonderful day and hope to catch everyone tomorrow for the next one. Later.